Hello everyone, I'm Sarah Valencia, affectionately known as Mocha. I am the owner, designer, and maker of Made by Mocha. I design, make, and sell crochet goods and their patterns, mostly stuffies. I first picked up my hook in October 2019, and during that learning process, instructional videos like these were incredibly helpful. I am making this series to go along with my patterns on Ribbler as stitch aids, but also to add to the general pool of helpful instructional videos. Crochet is enormously rewarding, but it can be quite difficult to get started. I hope these videos help you on your learning journey. I will continue to post videos as I continue my own learning journey. Okay, so today we are talking about decreasing in the round. I have the start of the head of a bear here. It is the same piece that I started with my magic circle and increasing in the round tutorial. Here is our magic circle of 6 stitches, and then continuous spirals of increasing in the round. So we have 6 stitches, and then 6 times 2 stitches, then 6 times 3, 6 times 4, because when we are trying to achieve perfect circles, you increase or decrease 6 at a time. So here we've got this last round I did has 30 stitches in it. So it is 6 groups of 5 stitches. We are going to decrease down to 6 groups of 4 stitches, then 6 groups of 3 stitches. So there are typically 2 ways to decrease. One is called single crochet 2 together, and the other is called an invisible decrease. Single crochet 2 together is in my experience, more often used if you are working in rows and flat panels, say you're working on a scarf or some such, and you want the front and the back to look the same. It is also the style of decrease that seems to be taught most typically to beginners, but I'm going to show both. So single crochet 2 together is exactly what it sounds like. You begin your single crochet, and then instead of finishing by yarning over and pulling over another loop, you go into a second stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and now you have 3 stitches on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. So now you are replacing 2 stitches with 1 stitch. I will show you again. In through the first stitch, pull up a loop, in through a second stitch, pull up a loop, and then through all 3. So that is single crochet 2 together. The other one that you can do, though, that I tend to do working in the round, is called an invisible decrease. So you can see here, each stitch has 2 loops in it, right? You're pulling a loop, there's 2 strands in each loop, so there will always be 2 strands across the top, right? So for an invisible decrease, you go through only the front of that top bar. You do not yarn over, you do not pull up a loop. You go through the front loop of the stitch next to it. So you can see there's the back loops, and my hook is through 2 front loops. Then yarn over and pull up a loop. And that is your single crochet loop as though you were starting a single crochet. And you can see that it has pulled those 2 stitches together into the appearance of being a single stitch. Yarn over and pull through your 2 loops. So that is an invisible decrease. I will show you once again. So hook through the front loop, do not yarn over, do not pull up a loop, hook through the next front loop from the bottom to the top. Now you yarn over and pull up a loop, and then yarn over to finish your single crochet. So as you can see, those 2 styles, here's a single crochet 2 together, another single crochet 2 together, an invisible decrease, and an invisible decrease. They look quite different. They both effectively get the job done, but they look quite different. If you look on the inside, the single crochet 2 together looks the same on the inside or the outside. But the invisible decrease, you can see the back loops that you left behind. So if you want your stitches to be, your decreased stitches to be less obvious from the outside, and the inside doesn't matter because it's on the inside of a stuffy, then invisible decrease is a good choice to use. It is often used by people who work in the round. If you want your decreases to be the same on the front and the back, then a better choice is the single crochet 2 together. One reason why amigurumi artists and people who work in the round like to use invisible decrease is that the holes that are left are much smaller. The decreases are significantly less obvious. And that is what I will do. So those are the 2 styles. Now I am going to do a round of decreases. So I am doing 4 stitches in my stitch group, and I am doing them into a stitch group of 5. So I will go in, in the wrong place. I will work an invisible decrease. So there's my decrease, and then 3 stitches to make a group of 4. And I will do that 6 times. Let me grab a stitch marker. Invisible decrease, and then 3 single crochets. Invisible decrease, three single crochets. So if you really look, you can see where the decreases are, but they hide pretty well. There's my decrease. 1, 2, 3. Decrease. 1, 2, 3. Decrease. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and so there's that round. Oh, I got a split there. Now, same as when I am doing increases, you can keep your decreases all at the start of each of your stitch groupings to help you keep count, or you can alternate their location front and middle like I do. So decreases function oppositely to increases. So when you're doing an increase, I put my increase in the exact middle of my group because I am working into a group of stitches that has an exact middle to expand it. The opposite is true for decreases. So I just finished 6 groups of 4 stitches, and I am going to make 6 groups of 3 stitches. So in this instance, you are pulling 2 stitches together. So I will do a single crochet, my decrease, and a single crochet to make 3. So here's my single stitch marker. And then I will do my invisible decrease. And then be careful not to go back in to the second stitch that you just decreased from. If you pull it forward, you can see, oh yes, I did in fact go in there. So we need to not go in that hole. We need to go in that stitch. And there's my 3. So single crochet, invisible decrease, single crochet, single crochet, invisible decrease. So the math is the same if you were to do decrease, single, single, decrease, single, single, or even, you know, put them at the front or put them at the back, or however you want to move them around. Really, whatever helps your brain get your stitches in order, that comes first. And then if you can move on from there to make it more the appearance that you want, then power to you. It took me a couple of years of crocheting very actively before I started being able to mentally do the gymnastics of where to put my stitches in order to hide them better. And I don't write it out in my patterns. I don't want to confuse people. I want the patterns to be very clear for beginners and for veterans. It's easy to know how you do your own groupings when you've done it enough. So I try to give people freedom of choice in my patterns. Gonna finish this round. Single crochet, invisible decrease, single crochet, single crochet, invisible decrease, single crochet. And that is that round is done. Okay, so I hope this was helpful. Please feel free to contact me with any questions you may have. I will keep making more videos for more stitch descriptions. If this was helpful, please like and subscribe. Thank you.